Norman Powell has been on the verge of NBA stardom before. Now, with a fresh start in Miami and a wide-open Eastern Conference, the veteran guard could finally secure the All-Star nod that has eluded him. Powell's rising profile. Powell, 32, came close to making the All-Star team last season after cracking the 20 points per game mark for the first time in his career. NBA.com's Steve Ashburner sees him as one of several players with a realistic shot this year. Powell is a guy whose star's been on the rise for a while, Ashburner wrote. After 2 seasons picking up Kia's 6-man votes, he started every game he played last season and cracked the 20 PPG level. With his offseason trade to Miami, Powell can thrive in some old Dwayne Wade action while flexing his 41.9% three-point shooting over the past 4 seasons. At 32, though, Powell is closing in on Nat Sweetwater Clifton, who at 34 became the oldest first-time All-Star. A pathway in the East. The All-Star landscape in the East has shifted dramatically. Last year's East All-Stars Jason Tatum, Tyrese Haliburton, and Damian Lillard are all sidelined by injuries or roster moves, leaving potential openings for first-time selections. For Powell, who has quietly established himself as one of the league's more efficient scorers, the timing couldn't be better. Powell arrived in South Florida as part of a 3-team deal that sent John Collins to the Clippers and Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a Clippers second-round pick to Utah. The move came after a turbulent season for Miami, which included trading Jimmy Butler to Golden State and bowing out of the playoffs in a first-round sweep to Cleveland. The Heat also pursued 15-time All-Star Kevin Durant before he ultimately landed elsewhere, leaving Powell as their major offseason addition. A vital role with Herro out. Powell's role grew even larger when the Heat announced that Tyler Herro underwent foot surgery, sidelining him to start the season. Herro, 25, is coming off his best year, averaging 23.9 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 5.5 assists while earning his first All-Star berth. Without Herro, the Heat will rely heavily on Powell to shoulder the scoring load in the backcourt. His ability to space the floor and attack off the dribble makes him a critical piece in Miami's offense until Herro returns. Contract stakes and extension talk. Powell is in the final year of his deal, worth $20.4 million, and is eligible for an extension. According to Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, the Heat are open to discussing a new deal, but Powell's value could rise significantly if he delivers all-star level production. A challenging start ahead. Miami's schedule to open the season won't make things easy. 6 of their first 8 games are on the road, including a West Coast swing, and 11 of their first 15 opponents made the playoffs last season. By the time Herro returns, the Heat hope Powell will have solidified his role not just as a stopgap scorer, but as part of one of the most dangerous backcourt tandems in the East. Miami's projected starting 5 includes Herro, Powell, Andrew Wiggins, Bam Adebayo, and rookie Kel'el Ware, a group that blends youth, athleticism, and scoring punch. For Powell, though, the story is simple. This may be his last, best shot to join the league's elite. And in Miami, where expectations are high and opportunities scarce, an all-star nod would validate both his journey and the Heat's gamble. Miami Heat legend Dwayne Wade spent his entire Heat tenure as Udonis Haslem's teammate, and Haslem consistently had the guards back. Haslem didn't hesitate to go to bat for his former teammate, whether he was backing up Wade's trash talk or keeping the star out of harm's way. Fast forward to the current day, and Wade sees a similar relationship in the modern NBA between Indiana Pacers point guard Tyrese Haliburton and free agent forward James Johnson. Wade said that Johnson protects Haliburton just like how Haslem protected him back in the day. They show how JJ waits for Tyrese Haliburton after every interview and how he's been doing it since he's been there, Wade said. So, it's like he's security with everybody, sit there and wait. That means so much for a young guy who's trying to become a leader. To have a OG like that, JJ spent time in Miami. JJ learned a lot behind UD and been in Miami in that culture. At 38 years old, Johnson is one of the older players in the league, and he wasn't a majorly impactful player on the court for Indiana at all last season. He played in just 17 games in the regular season and playoffs combined, but he made a major impact from the sidelines and in the locker room. Johnson and Halliburton's Pacers seemingly couldn't have possibly gotten closer to winning a title last year without capturing the ultimate prize. Indiana made a surprise run to the 2025 NBA Finals and gave the Oklahoma City Thunder all they could handle in the championship series, as the Thunder needed 7 games to come out on top. Plus, Halliburton tragically went down with an Achilles injury in the deciding Game 7, and who knows how that all-important game would have panned out if he hadn't gotten hurt. Halliburton looked locked in to start the game, as he buried 3 three-pointers in the opening minutes. Unfortunately, on top of the fact that Halliburton was sidelined for the overwhelming majority of Game 7 of the 2025 NBA Finals, he has already been ruled out for the entirety of the 2025-26 campaign. As a result, the Pacers look a lot worse on paper and might not have the talent to make a similarly deep playoff run in 2026. Even if a title might not be in the cards for the Pacers in 2026, folks should still expect the team to be very competitive in the Eastern Conference, particularly if it brings back a locker room leader of Haslam's ilk in Johnson. When it comes to the Eastern Conference, the Miami Heat were already viewed as long shots to represent their side in the 2026 NBA Finals. Heading into the 2025-2026 NBA season, the Heat landed some unfortunate news regarding their star sharpshooter, Tyler Herro. Earlier this week, it was revealed that Herro would have to undergo surgery for a setback due to a foot/ankle injury. After dealing with foot issues throughout the 2024-2025 NBA season, Herro's setback lingered throughout the offseason and has led up to this point. According to a report from ESPN, Herro will miss 8 weeks of action. Looking at the team's schedule, he's facing a potential 12-game absence right out of the gate. While Herro is expected to be out for approximately 12 games, the Heat aren't guaranteed to be at full health by the time the star guard is back in the mix. Depending on how that first stretch turns out, the Heat could find themselves in a tough spot out of the gate. Looking at the current Eastern Conference odds, the Heat are far from being the favorites to win the title. According to FanDuel Sportsbook, the Heat currently have the 10th best odds to win the East, set at plus 4,000. The Heat trail the Indiana Pacers, who will miss Tyrese Halliburton for the year. Miami is right in front of the Toronto Raptors, who have been a borderline rebuilding club as of late. Last season, Miami made a major shakeup by trading away Jimmy Butler to the Golden State Warriors. It wasn't the result that the team wanted, but Butler made it clear he would force the team's hand. So, he did, and it left the Heat leaning heavily on Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo to keep the organization competitive. The Heat managed to sneak into the playoffs as the 8th seed, but their season ended rather quickly. After getting bounced in the first round, the Heat understood they had a lot of work to do. As they built out the roster with changes, Miami built with Herro in mind as a focal point. He'll earn his star status right back when he's on the floor, but Herro has a lot of work to do with his recovery. Last season, Herro appeared in 77 games. Seeing the court for 35.4 minutes, the veteran sharpshooter made 38% of his shots from 3. He produced 23.9 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 5.5 assists per game throughout the year.